Is your problem really a problem? Maybe it's a solution. Maybe it's a stepping stone towards success. It all depends on how you look at it and how you react. You could react negatively and be a pessimist and decide to quit and say, oh no, this is taking too much work. It's not worth the effort. What's the point of this? You could do that and just give up. But the bad thing about doing that is that you're going to regret it the rest of your life. You're going to regret not being able to see the end result. There's going to be that what if. And you can't do that because that's not the way it's supposed to be. Getting stuck or giving up is the same thing. And we are like water. Water is supposed to be constantly moving so it can stay clear. Otherwise, what happens to water when it gets stuck among rocks and twigs and branches? Everybody's seen it. It starts to smell bad. It gets thick with mold. Mosquitoes start to lay eggs in there, and spiders, and it gets nasty and it smells terrible and it just looks terrible. We do not want to do that. We are supposed to be clear. We're to be running with the current. What we should be doing instead is taking that problem, doing our best to find a solution, or finding someone to fix it at least, and move on to the next step of your project or your goal. That is what you do, and every problem that you encounter is only going to make you wiser and smarter on how to react for the next problem that comes in. So I'm going to give you some examples of how I've turned my problems into solutions. Because stop to think of it. Everything that we use, everything that we pay for is solving a problem. I'm not a superwoman, so I'm not going to be doing everything. If I have plumbing issues, I'm going to hire a plumber. He's solving the problem of the clogged pipes. If I'm not happy with my hair right now, I'm finding the solution with the wig. The wig is the solution. And you turn it into a product, you turn it into a service, and you sell it. You sell it because we all have to pay our bills, right? Some problems that I've encountered, I'm going to start with the first one that I had, is after high school, I just could not find a job. And I went through the mall. I just went to every single store in the shopping center and I put in my application. I applied to all the banks that I knew of so I can be a teller. I would get called in for the interviews, but nobody gave me a job, and it was getting really frustrating. So what did I do? Instead of just sulking and being poor, I decided to go and build my skills and became a seamstress. And I didn't wait to be a perfect seamstress. I just threw myself out there. I had never made a wedding dress in my life. I had made clothes for myself, but not a wedding dress and not a quinceañera dress. And I just thought, it's like, once I get the order placed, I'll figure it out. And so what happened is I went to the swap meet. Back then we had swap meets, which was like a festival, but a little bit cheaper and uglier. And I set up my booth. I put up a couple of dresses that my mother made. And I put those, but I just took credit and I said, yeah, I made those. And I got my first client. And my dress was not the best dress, but she was happy. And I figured it out. And from then, that happy customer sent me more customers. And it was good because it was something that I had always wanted to do. Now imagine if I had gotten hired by the bank or by some store like C's Candies or whatever store. Maybe I I wouldn't have mastered my sewing skills. And the problem of not finding a job led me to open my bridal business. Another problem that I had that turned into a solution was divorce. Unfortunately, my marriages didn't work, and after my first divorce, I decided no, I can't be depending on somebody. So now I went out and got my bachelor's degrees in accounting. I had put it off because of the pregnancy, but then after that, I was like, no, I am going to do this. I'm going to get my accounting degree, and I am going to get a good paying job. That way, I don't have to worry about how rent is going to get paid. Well, that was my mentality back then. So I got my bachelor's, got a good job with the state, and life was good for that time that I was raising my kids. And so the solution there was that I prepared. I got my profession. And I also learned to, be independent. And so I said, the next time I meet somebody, I'm going to be with that person, not because I need him, but because I want to be with him. And that was my solution. Another problem that I had that I just was very difficult to overcome was being happy again after my mother's passing away. I was happy superficially, and then I lost my brothers and my favorite brother. I lost my favorite sisters, and that was very hard to be happy again. It just kept getting more difficult with each one that I lost. And when I did feel happiness, because I had to be happy with my children, right? When I did feel some happiness, I felt guilt for being happy when I was supposed to be sad. And I decided, okay, I know this is not good. I have to be happy because I'm alive. And I did a lot of research. I read so many books, because everything that we experience, someone else has already experienced it. And fortunately, they wrote about it. And so I read through so many books. I had this much of notes of things that I wrote down from my books. And then I decided to put it into one book. And that's the book I wrote, Join Me Today. Now, that was my solution, and now I can be happy. I enjoy the present. I don't worry about the future. I forgot the past. And I'm sharing it. That is my product. I'm sharing it because it's not good to just keep our knowledge to ourselves. So that was the solution. The problem of not getting over my sadness, I could have just stayed sad forever. So we don't want to do that. With my divorces, I could have stayed poor forever, depending on financial assistance. With not being hired by anybody, I could have just stayed in a job that's not well paid, and I wouldn't have been pushed to go and get a degree. Another problem that I had recently, in the past few years, was I got bored with my job. I no longer believed in my job, and so I knew that I was not going to be there for the rest of my life. I could have just stayed there another 15 years, but I could not see myself doing that, and so that was the problem. And what did I do? I started learning about finances so that I could have my financial freedom and buy my time, get my life, and be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So I learned about finances, and I improved my skills. I have been improving my writing skills. I have been improving my speaking skills. If that way, the day that I did leave that job, I wasn't gonna be just like a baby doing nothing. I came out prepared somewhat. Not perfect. I'm not up here yet. I still have a lot of progress to go, but at least now I'm actually acting it out, right? I'm actually doing it. So the problem of me being bored at my job has pushed me to do something else, something bigger. And what the solution to that problem is my YouTube video and my YouTube channel, I mean. So let's take these problems, look at them for what they are. They're stepping stones, or sometimes that push that you need to get out of that situation. Thanks for watching, and I hope this is helping you as it is helping me, because as I recreate these videos, it's helping me as well, because life is always moving and our life is constantly changing. See you later.